Well, it's been a while since I brought you out to what I call my playground. And you know, I have a pole barn here that has no power. We have no power, we have no water, so I haul water. And yeah, just kind of make do. But I've been kind of thinking, you know, I have a lot of these cordless tools that you all are aware of, that if I had the possibility of recharging my batteries, then I could keep my circular saw or my drills and all that stuff charged up. So I bought a couple solar panels similar to what I have on my water tank shed, and you're familiar with that, I think. If I could put something on the back of this building, maybe I could just keep my batteries charged up. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I picked up 2 more 100-watt panels. They are the same size panels that runs my heat tape on my water tank up the hill. And I want to put them on the side of the building in the back, and I'm going to put them at about a 30-35 degree angle, because I'm more interested in wintertime power than I am in the summertime. You know, maybe I'm out here working more in the summertime, I don't know. But it'd be nice to have maybe an LED light in here in the wintertime. Summertime I can open this door and it's pretty pleasant in there. Wintertime, maybe not quite so much. If I had the option of having maybe some kind of light in here, would be nice. So I'm going to stand these up a little bit, mainly focusing on that winter sun more than I am the summer sun. Summer sun, she kind of goes right up over the top. I'd have to have my panels laying pretty flat. But wintertime, I stand them up pretty tall, and that's why they're so tall on my watershed as well. So I bought some framework that's supposed to mount these, and mainly on roof lines, I think. But I'm going to put them on my wall. And you have to be able to read pictures, because when this stuff is made in foreign countries, they don't speak English. So I think I kind of have it figured out, I think. Obviously, I'm not very sure, huh? I think about like so. I need a right and a left. So anyway, I've been playing with this a little bit. See if I can't get these assembled. And then I'm just going to go put them right on my building. I am going to try to put them up kind of tall, over my head anyway, because you know, when I'm doing mowing around here or just cleaning up, maybe weed eating, and sometimes you know, the cows will get in here around the buildings, and I want them out of their reach to where they're not rubbing on them or something. That's why I don't want to mount them down on ground level. Things happen, you know, it just does. So I think I have these figured out as a right and a left. Yeah, about like so. And I'm going to mount them vertical like this, and then my solar panels are going to be bolted to this framework. And I should be able to put both panels on one pair. I bought 2 pair, so if I want to increase my panels, I can do that. So I'm not going to mount them on this side of the building, because this is the north side, but my bolt patterns are about the same. So I think I'm going to go about this height to where I can come underneath, not be banging my head, but still access it. If I wanted to, I could push this bar here up, and it would stand that up maybe a little more if I wanted to in the summertime. But I think I'm going to go about that height. So the spacings on the mounting holes on my panels are 26 inches. So I think I'll mount one here. That'll work out for about right there. And this is going to give me my straight line. And I want to do the same up here. I don't think I'll bonk my head on that. Well, I tell you, these were a piece of cake, but all these little flat washers and lock washers and little nut right in this. That's a good thing I didn't video that. It was kind of frustrating, but I think I got her. These are slippery little rascals, and my hands are fat. It's easy to drop them. Well, maybe this one won't be quite so bad. Still have something to sit on. You have to line up the holes. Well, it's there. We'll see if it's windproof, because we do get wind out here. So I had mentioned at the beginning that I was going to set this at somewhere around 30 degrees. When I looked it up on the internet, the 30 degrees was typical for Montana in the wintertime. But if I was going to do this year round, they suggested 42 to 45, and that would kind of be the average. Well, I have it set at 31. I put my little digital angle finder on there, and that's what it ended up at. And the plus part of that is in the wintertime that it's steep enough that it helps snow slide off of that. But it sticks on my watershed, and I go up with a broom and I wipe it off, and this I can reach it too. So I want to run cables through the building here to the inside. That is where my charge controller and inverter and battery and all that's going to be. So I think I want to keep it up high enough also and above this seam here. So about right in here, I think I'm going to punch a hole and take my cables in. I don't have anything hooked up yet. So my cables are actually about 5/16, and I brought a couple 3/8 out. I think, judging from the inside, I want to go through about this rib here, right in there close, and it should be pretty close to matching my wall on the inside, just above where this framework's going to be. Yeah, see, I've got insulation in there, and I thought maybe that's what was going to happen. I'm going to wind that up, aren't I? So I'm going to put my long bit and see if I can sneak through there. So if I'm guessing this right, my middle frame should be about here. I want to come out in this area here somewhere. You keep an eye on it and see how I do. Not too bad. A couple inches higher than I thought, but that'll work. I'm going to make this hole a little more oblong. Make it easier for those two to fit through here side by side. Have to do that to the tin on the other side too. I can fish a wire through there. It'll be there somewhere. There it is. If I'm fortunate enough, I can tape this all together. Somebody's shooting an AR-15 in the distance. I don't know if you can hear that or not. If we can get this fished through. Yeah, I pulled my wire out. I Yeah, she made it a little easier to pull it through. As I was trying to fish this through, I really didn't like the looks of that sharp edge steel up against my wires. So I opened it up a little bit. I'm going to cut a rubber hose and slip around here and put it in there and silicone it in place. Fish this through as far as I can. There's my ends, and these have to hook into my panels. So I'll leave that little bit out. Well, as I've been scratching my head where to put all this, I think this is where I'm going to put my battery. It's a 200 amp hour, and it's a lead acid core battery. This is my inverter. It's a 2000 watt. Probably overkill for the shop. This is where I think I'm going to put my charge controller. Everything will be right here. And if I want to add batteries, I can add one to this shelf and maybe add one down there. Eventually, part of this might go to the house, or maybe I'll just pigtail it off and feed the house off of this. We'll see. I think that'll ride there. These will eventually come up into the solar panel side. 2 go to the battery. And then we have a spot where 2 can go to a 12 volt appliance. I may put 12 volt lights in here. So my inverter, I thought about putting it on the wall here, but my feed to the battery would be on the opposite end unless I put it around upside down. But I have 3 110 outlets here that I would like to have a little more available, and then I could feed a breaker panel off of this here. So I'm thinking I'm going to mount it right in here, and then I can run my feed right over to the battery. I can run my charge controller right down to the battery, and it'll all be out in the open where it'll run and should run efficiently. So I made a couple brackets that I'm going to bolt between the shelves and set it in about this area here. And I can maybe put a sheet of plywood on it, and then I can screw the inverter to that. So part of the challenge was just trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. The other challenge is there's nothing heated out here through the wintertime except when I am here. And I might possibly have the wood stove going. But most of the time it's going to be cold. And that's why I went with the lead acid core battery. It can take the cold, it's just like a car battery. Lithium batteries wouldn't last out here, from what I understand. They don't like the cold. And the electronics, everybody says, don't like the cold. Well, I put this system without the inverter on my water tank shed, and it was outside, and I put some straw bales around it, but it was outside, and my charge controller was literally outside for 2 winters. And it operated fine, and it went through 35 below, I think was the coldest that it got. And then I put it down into that little pit that I built where my downpipe goes, and I have heat tape on it. So it's down in there, and so it doesn't get so bitter cold anymore. So that's good, and I may have to do something about this here. I may have to put blankets around it. You know, we used to ranch about 5 miles from here, 26 years ago, 25 years ago, I guess it was. And we had a pit where our water tank system was at. And it would freeze up unless we ran a 60-watt light bulb down there. And then it would keep it open. And we'd put it right by the pressure switch that would operate the tank that operated the pump. And it would run, and we went through 40 below plus weather with that little light bulb. So I may do something about that similar here, where I have an outlet on that inverter. I may possibly put a blanket around it and put a light bulb on it. That might be enough. I'm suspecting it probably will. There'll be no wind in here to take that heat away. So it's an ongoing process of figuring out how to make something work that's not supposed to work. So I have a couple things that I am short on. When I was reading the instructions on these, I need to have a 50 amp fuse breaker between the solar panels and the charge controller, if I remember that right. Or maybe it's between the charge controller and the battery. I don't know. You probably all know that. But I need a minimum 200 amp breaker between the battery and the inverter, because it is a 2000 watt inverter. It's a pretty high power inverter. Thinking that I will eventually down the road incorporate the house into it, and I'll be running maybe a few more tools out here. So I don't have those two fuses. I've got them coming. I never did put a fuse on that solar panel system on the watershed, and I probably should. So I ordered a 40 or a 50, whatever, that will work on that. I'll put one on both of these. And I didn't get a ground rod. Just spaced it out when I was picking up parts. I did pick up a 100 amp breaker that I could hook into it and then maybe run a couple outlets and maybe a light over the bench. But the main part of it is getting all this components put together. So that's kind of where I'm at. I need to go get a ground rod. It'll be 3 or 4 days before my fuses come in, and then I'll see if I can get this hooked up. Anyway, appreciate you coming along. And I know this isn't a complete project, but you got to start somewhere. And part of this is just figuring out in my head how it's all going to go together. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.